Hello, good evening and welcome to Jeps Cross for this final Friday Night Live of 2017. Don't worry, we'll be back for finals, but this is the final Friday night that we will be doing. Just right off the top, I've got a couple of thank yous to make. Obviously, my co-commentators through 2017, Darren Nimke, Jared Walsh, Mark Victory and Craig Victory, Brody Gleeson, Bob Claxton, Holly Evans, and tonight I will be joined by Tim White. We'll talk a little bit more about Tim when we get into it. Also, a massive thank you to everyone who works behind the scenes and generally doesn't get mentioned. Andrew Ellis, obviously the CEO of Hockey SA, done a huge amount of work with me this year. I would be lost completely without Contrita Ramford and Josie Rebay. Those two have been absolutely outstanding for me. Also the backroom staff, Penny Redmond, the ground staff through the week, Tony Gunn has been absolutely fantastic. John Emery, who takes the photos that you see on Facebook on a Friday night, and Roy Deadman, who's given me lessons in hockey, and I've listened to everything he'll have to say. And most importantly, and last but not least, the staff at the Pines Cafe, who keep me warm and they keep me hydrated and they keep me fed on a Friday night, so thank you very much to everybody of them. But tonight we will get into the hockey, and tonight we have got Adelaide Hockey Club taking on Burnside Hockey Club. Adelaide will be in second place and Burnside in sixth, so we look forward to a really, really good night of hockey, and we'll talk to you some more after this short break.
See Premier League hockey in real time.
In real time.
In real time.
Good receive there by Simon Weld.
And in front of the goal mouth.
Every goal.
Every goal. Every goal.
The ball penetrating run, open circle, 1-2 play.
Every save.
Every save.
James Minton has the opportunity, great save.
Get straight into the circle, off a stick, and well saved by Amy Hammond.
Every tackle. Every tackle.
Gets the attack into the circle, nice tackle there.
Live.
Right here on Hockey SA.
Right here on Hockey SA.
Runs with pace, to battery 2. Looks for a quick shot, off the back post.
Net 25 here.
Get around it.
Get around it. Get around it.
Welcome back to Jeps Cross. The players are lining up. Joining me tonight I have Tim White, another one with an extremely long CV. It's sat in front of me, but currently you're the head coach of the Sassy setup and the girls under-21s team. You're going away to Wollongong on Wednesday with the under-21s. You had your final hit out on Wednesday night, which we saw here on Facebook. So you're travelling well, and you were also the Australian under-21s women's coach as well. So huge amount of hockey knowledge sat next to me.
Well, yes, I'm currently head coach of Sassy, and as you say, heading away with the under-21 SA women next week. Was the Australian under-21 women's coach at the Junior World Cup last year, and that was a great experience. So we came home with a bronze medal, which was exciting. But yeah, our focus is now very much on the under-21 nationals for both the boys and the girls, and we leave on Wednesday.
That's the first medal that Australia has won at a junior championship for a while. Is it around 12 years?
The women haven't won one since 2001. So yeah, they're not easy to win, and we needed to get through Spain in a shootout to do so. So yeah, that was a good result.
Well, congratulations. And tonight, as we turn our attention to the field, we are about ready to go on this one. Burnside will be wearing the navy blue and red and attacking the left of your screen. Adelaide in the white, the red, white and blue, and we'll be attacking the right of your screen. Adelaide sat in second place with 30 points. Burnside sat in 6th at the moment, but you can probably throw a blanket over 3rd place to 7th place in this men's competition at the moment, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much tightened up. It looked to be a bit of a 4-horse race with Port and Forestville joining Seacliff and Adelaide, the 2 tearaway leaders, but Port have dropped a couple. Forestville are looking to try and kind of get above them, and a really important game for Burnside tonight. If they win tonight, they're very much in touch with that top 4.
So we are underway, and it's a somewhat slower start than we're used to from the men's game, and a little bit more controlled than usual.
Well, you wouldn't be surprised if both teams look to try and feel each other out a little bit early. In the previous clash between these two, Burnside upset Adelaide. At that point they were undefeated, and Adelaide did have a couple of players missing, but I think Burnside might have won 5-3 by memory. So I'm fairly sure that the Adelaide team would be looking to get revenge for that loss, and the Burnside men would be looking to use that as a catalyst for tonight's game.
So you see Dan Cox on the ball, who starred on Wednesday night for the Hot Shots, and there's a couple of players out here tonight who will be backing up from Wednesday night, almost like State of Origin. Play on the Wednesday, then play on the Friday.
Yeah, that is a difficult backup, but hockey players are used to that sort of turnaround, unlike, say, the AFL footballers. So when they go away and play at a national tournament, they play back-to-back games. So I'm sure they would have had a lighter night on the training track as a result last night, and be ready to go tonight.
So Adelaide putting the little bit of pressure on the Burnside circle. Well, Burnside managed to deal with it, but they will come out to this right-hand side to Fry, and just couldn't get that one under control, and it'll go out for, I think it's a long corner. I think he's given a long corner.
I think he has. That was looking for Huey Purvis, who's one of the generals in the midfield. He loves to get into attacking positions as well, so he found himself as one of the most forward players there. Angus Fry was the player who fed him, an exciting young player who's in the Sassy squad, who's off to Wollongong next week as well for the 21s.
Well, that one bounces around, and the keeper does well, manages to get rid of it. Just trying to see who the keeper is for Burnside tonight.
It's Tom Marshall.
Well, this is the lad from England.
He is, yeah. I don't know a lot about him, but he comes with good raps, and he's worked his way into the #1 position for Burnside. So, from all reports, he's a pretty good keeper, and he dealt with that one well.
The overhead into the circle just bounced around, but now they have managed to make it into the circle, and they'll make their way to the baseline. And again, Marshall is asked a question, and a short corner for the first one tonight.
Yeah, that was well worked by, I'm pretty sure it was James Humphreys there for the Adelaide team. He's a really smart player. Another young under-21 player who's off to Wollongong next week. He's also in the AHL squad for the first time. So yeah, he's a clever player, and look to watch him tonight.
So we get ready for this one. It looks like they're going to run a double battery. Cox is thereabouts, and he was thereabouts on Wednesday night as well, so he's obviously going to be a big threat. We'll see what they can do with their first short corner of the night. As the injection comes in, the trap is good, and it will be Cox who drugs flicks, and Marshall gets down well to his right-hand side. Manages to clear, but it will be another short corner.
Yeah, he did well. It was a bit of a sort of scrambly save. It was quite an odd sort of clearance by the Burnside player, almost put it back into his own net, but Adelaide are well served at the top of the battery, because on the other battery is Sean Dawson, who is also a very good drag flicker. So it's easier for defences to deal with it when they've only got one key drag flicker. So that's a threat for Adelaide.
So they go the same way. Cox will look to slip it out to that right-hand side, but it's been dealt with by Burnside. Another appeal and a third short corner on the bounce. Yeah,
I'm not sure if that was a variation because the injection and the trap wasn't quite as precise as it should have been, or whether it was a set play. But Dan Cox looked to slip that one right and collected the foot of the Burnside runner.
So Hugh Purvis will be one of the trappers, and Fred Gray, 17-year-old from Brisbane, will be on the other one. Gray will trap, and there's the drag, and again Marshall is asked a question, and again Marshall manages to deal with it, but unfortunately he can't get the rebound, and that will be the first goal of the night to Adelaide.
Yeah, that was well finished by Jake Stacey, who managed to get himself into a good rebounding position. I think James Keeves was the defender who probably would have liked to have got his stick on that and cleared it. Jake Stacey was one of the most talented players in the state a few years back. Has been missing for a couple of years with injury, and he played some AFL, but he's coming back into form now, and he'll be important for Adelaide in the lead up to the finals.
So an early goal could be what we just need on this Friday night to open this one up.
Well, it's certainly what Adelaide would have wanted. But Burnside are pressing aggressively, as you can see.
Well, they now have to chase the game, and there's a fair amount of time for them to chase. That one just after 5 minutes, the first goal scored. But when you have repeat short corners, it's always going to be dangerous, and Marshall was doing the best that he could, and they just couldn't clear it from in front of him, unfortunately.
No, I mean, in the end, he saved all three corners, so he pretty well did his job, and yeah. It felt in a dangerous position, and as we said, Jake Stacey was able to slip that one past his near side. And this is him again now.
One goes high into the circle.
Jennings.
So our umpires tonight on this near side at the moment is Dan Mitchell, who also had a run around on Wednesday night.
Yeah, Dan did. He's I do a lot of work with Dan. He's the scholarship coach with the Sassy program.
He's going away with you on Wednesday as well.
So he's assistant coach of the women's team, and basically he's a regular person out here at the State Hockey Centre. So he's either umpiring, coaching, or playing. Is Dan? He just finished as the Sapsarza champion with the airport team. Which he enjoyed during the week down at West Beach, down at Grange with all the young fellas.
Burnside now looking to put a little bit of pressure on Adelaide, and they will get their first short corner of the night. So putting a lot of pressure on that Adelaide side, and they'll get their short corner. Just while we're setting up for that, don't forget that the Hockey Awards night is coming up on September the 4th. It should be a great night. Outstanding Service to Hockey and Volunteer of the Year. Make sure you get around for that. Keep an eye on the Facebook page and the website to make sure you get your tickets for that night. I'm sure it will be a great night. Tickets will be available from mid-July. Everybody is invited, Metro and Country. We know we have a lot of people who watch this out in the country. We giving the opportunity for people who live out of Adelaide to watch Friday night hockey. And
I mean, it's been a great innovation by Hockey SA. A lot of people have enjoyed it.
So the injection is there, and there is a drag flick, and it's gone to the right-hand side of the keeper. He's done well and stood big for two. It now comes back to the top of the circle, and Burnside will look to try and keep that pressure on. Adelaide have done very, very well and will come out and start to work down that right-hand wing. He's found an outlet pass, and they have got a 2-on-1. The keeper's a long, long way out, and Marshall will do enough. And we'll all take a breath, because that was a frantic piece of play.
It certainly was, and initially it was well, as we watched this circle entry, well dealt with by Burnside, but it was well handled by Damon Lang, the Adelaide keeper, who actually has come across from Burnside this year, so that adds a bit of spice to this game. So he had two shots, one from James Keeves, who's one of the better drag flickers in the state, and then the follow-up by James Mitten, under 21 state player, and then Adelaide almost scored going the other way.
And Appease again, just challenging in and around the top of that circle, but Burnside will try and clear, and they just can't get rid of it at the moment. Adelaide will work out to that left-hand side, and Purvis takes a tumble. Mitchell keeps the whistle in the pocket. That one is fired forward, and anywhere will do, and I think Burnside just needs to take a breath a little bit, and just struggling to clear it when it starts to reach their circle.
Well, it's certainly shaping up to be a good game for the spectators, both out here and at home. Watching through the Facebook page, it's end-to-end. Adelaide have had 2 or 3 good chances. Burnside have had chances already, and we've only been going less than 10 minutes.
Good trap. He asked him a big question, but he's managed to deal with it. And he'll beat the first man and start making his way forward. Managed to go past a couple, Humphreys, and then he looked for an inside ball, but it's cut out by Burnside. Again, good high pressure from Humphreys. Adelaide will look for another circle entry, and they get one, and it's gone on the back stick, and it's still bouncing around there, and Marshall is asked questions again. That one kept in on that baseline, and they're going to look for a short corner, you would think. They don't get it, though.
That was a really good build up by Adelaide. It went out onto the left, and Angus Fry was the person who ended up feeding it into the circle, and an excellent feed. I wasn't quite sure who had the shot, but again, well dealt with by the Burnside keeper, who's been the busiest player on the pitch.
Certainly has, and trend on a Friday night, the keepers who do the most work sometimes end up on the losing side, but they still play very, very well. And I think that's something that, from a hockey point of view in South Australia, the standard of the keepers in this league is second to none at the moment. So that one is fired in and deflected, and there we have the second goal of the night. Almost caught us all by surprise, but
that, again, very well put away by Angus Fry, who we just mentioned. So he is one of the best young goal sneaks in the competition. 18-year-old fella who's, as I said before, recently into the Sassy squad, so he's one of the best young players in the state. Dan Cox was the person who fed it into the circle.
Yeah, and Cox will sit back in that sweeper role, and then when he gets a chance, he'll roam forward and work as a quarterback and look to pick the passes out there. When you've got people who can get in the circle and finish like Fry did.
Yeah.
So Burnside will need to get something sorted, otherwise this one could get away from them.
Yeah, I mean, Adelaide would be thrilled with the way in which they've started. So it's up to Burnside now to work their way back into the contest. They probably just need to slow it down a bit and try and control the ball a bit because they haven't had a lot of possession.
And as we say that, they will get a circle entry and they will look dangerous, but that one is fired away when they'll get a free hit. A little bit too boisterous for Mr. Jennings' likings.
That was James Hazer, number 5, who's made his Premier League debut. So he's a long-standing junior at the club. Premier League debut this year.
Purvis will fire that one all the way out to the left into Fry, and Fry just couldn't bring it under control. Young Angus Fry, 17-year-old, comes out of Adelaide. He's been in the state teams under 12 to under 21, and he'll be making his way over to Country, New South Wales. Is that where Wollongong is?
Off to Wollongong. It's about an hour and a half from Sydney. So
Burnside now will look to break. Again, just Adelaide have the numbers back and they'll look to rebuild again. Cox starting them off. Dawson will carry towards the 25. He was shut down eventually.
Yeah, as we said before, there's not a lot of midfield control really. It's a run and gun style of game, and that's suiting Adelaide at the moment.
A lot of space in the midfield that Cox and Purvis are exploiting with their ability to find these long passes. That one goes through, and Burnside again will look to get their head up and look to try and play out a defence this time. He's kind of run himself into a blind alley, but he'll get the free hit eventually.
Yeah, that was James Keeves on the ball, who is basically the general at the back
trap
of
out the air, and he's got him one-on-one with the keeper, and he's got a support runner coming across to the back post. If he can find him, he just fires it across. Excellent keeping again by Damon Leng, 18-year-old from Adelaide. Burnside will get the long corner.
I mean, it was a good shot in the end, although, as you said, I think it was James Mitten coming in on the back post, so perhaps a slip across the face might have been a better option, but Leng dealt with it well.
I do remember being out on Wednesday night, as Adelaide again will look to clear, but they've given away the free hit out on Wednesday night. I remember a certain coach saying, always try and hit the back post.
That might have been me. So, yeah, it is one of the pet hates of a lot of coaches when players shoot on the near side, especially when you've got support on the far side. So, yeah, a lot of coaches would have that rule, if you like.
So Burnside looking to settle down a bit. They'll come all the way around the hall, and they'll find Sam Davis out on this left-hand side. He'll get his head down and try and fire it into the circle, but it's dealt with again, and again Cox will slip a ball through. And again, Adelaide will break very, very quickly. Jake Stacey, a goal scorer, just lost control of it and has given up the free hit.
Yep, so Adelaide are looking dangerous with Dawson, Jake Stacey, Angus Fry. James Humphreys has started well as well at the back. We haven't mentioned Fred Gray, number 47 for Adelaide. He is a really promising young player as well, so we'll look to see him come into the game.
And a turnover just outside the 25, and again we see the white shirts of Adelaide stream forward. Brown managed to get in the way, shut that one down.
Not surprising to see Dan Cox getting himself up there in an attacking area. He used to be a striker, sort of midfielder, and as he's got older, he's moved further back into the pitch, but he looks for opportunities to get up front when he can.
We do find that the elder statesmen of hockey tend to find their way down back into the sweeper position.
Yes.
Burnside will look out to this left-hand side to Antoniadis. He'd look to go around the outside, but good tackle by Hazer. Getting his name called a couple of times. James Mitten trying to get around the outside, just couldn't do there, and that one slid down into the left-hand corner. But
yeah, that number 1 for Burnside who gave that pass, Rafe Thompson, who's a developing young player. He again is making his debut for the under-21 state team next week in Wollongong.
Nice first-time touch, but it's cut up by Burnside, and that will be fired into the circle. See whether they can get a shot on goal. They're still doing it. Good defensive work from Adelaide, who've been very, very solid at the top of that circle. Burnside will get the free hit, though.
You saw Dan Cox's indoor skills there with protecting his feet and getting his left hand on the ground.
come all the way back again to James Keeves, the captain. And goes harmlessly behind. It will be a 16-yard hit.
Yeah, I'll be looking for number 7, Simon Brown, to work his way into the contest a little bit. He's a really clever player, also in the AHL squad for, I believe, the first time. So if the ball is on his stick, then often something creative can happen.
I think we're likely to see a lot of changes into that AHL side, that hotshot side, because a lot of the under-21s will be knocking on the door, the under-21s who played. And had a 4-game series, and I think it was a very, very close series over the 4 games. Adelaide again with Purvis finding the ball inside, and again Marshall is called upon, and he'll just stick out that right leg and send them all the way down. That was kept in. Probably would have been better to keep it out, but they have turned it over. Humphreys with the short pass, and they look inside. And
yeah, that was an excellent save by Marshall. Really good balance, and he cleared it out wide. Again, Angus Fry was the person who had the shot, and a great low tomahawk. He's on the ball again now.
Again, there will be another tomahawk that comes in. That one misses, 16-yard hit, but Marshall had it covered.
Yep, so Adelaide, you'd almost say they're peppering the net, I think.
Play for England at under 16 and under 18 level, so he's showing his pedigree tonight. Slid past into midfield, and they'll go one more out onto that right-hand side to Simon Brown. Brown will look to pick a pass, and it's turned over again.
That's Huey reading the game. Huey Purvis reading the game well and making intercepts. That's a strong part of his game.
Another thing we were talking about with Mark Delora, who appears to have taken a leaf out of the Dutch soccer playbook and plays total hockey down at Seacliff as we get that circle entry and it goes to the baseline. Still bouncing around in their danger area for Burnside, but they managed to clear it. And we saw a little bit of that then when it's Cox stepped up into the midfield and Hugh Purvis just stepped back into that sweeper role. So confident that they can cover each other off if they need to.
Yes, I think Adelaide have got the experience to do that, and so do, as you mentioned, Mark Deloro's Seacliff team. They are...
And that's managed to find its way in. Another shot on goal, and it cannons into his teammate.
Yeah, Angus Fry, yeah, he would have liked to have had that one again. He probably had a little bit more time than he realised, and probably rushed the shot a little bit.
Simon Brown will get his head up and want to pick a pass, but again, very, very structured, this Adelaide side. Steve Button obviously has got them very, very well disciplined. Every time Brown tries to get his head up, he sees a wall of white shirts in front of him.
Yeah, so Steve Button's doing a really good job with this outfit. So he's taken over as head coach of the Adelaide Premier League men this year, and they're definitely one of the premiership favourites.
Well, they haven't quite cemented that double chance spot, but they are there and thereabouts, and they've given themselves all the chances of getting there.
I think a win tonight would go a long way to almost separating them and Seacliff from the other teams looking to make the top 4. So then it may come down to a battle between those two teams as to which team finishes on top at the end of the minor round.
Massey will cut that one on, but it's come off his feet. And as you are watching this, and we are live and interactive, if you have a question for Mr. White, so just Burnside will fire that one in, but they'll get a long corner from it. If you have a question for Mr. White, send it through. Also, let us know where you're watching from. Janice Marshall is watching. I think she's Tom Marshall's, well, she's very related to Tom Marshall. Be interested to see whether she's watching from England.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's obviously one of the great things about this live Facebook feed, that people from all over the world can be tuning in. And I know that the talk amongst the hockey community has been really, really positive about the Hockey SA Friday Night Hockey. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who will miss it now that we close books on that until finals time.
Well, you can join us for finals. We are doing every single final live on Facebook, brought to you by Hockey SA and powered by Space Quake Sports. Make sure you don't miss a minute. Make sure you like the hockey page. And if you want other people to see this, make sure you press that share button tonight. Burnside managed to cut that one off before it gets too far out, and they will get this circle entry. But again, Adelaide have done well. A little bit of a stick tackle, but it's bouncing around, and there it is. Antoniadis will get the get the goal, and Burnside managed to drag one back with around 14 minutes to go in this one.
Well, that pretty well came out of nowhere. It was not really well handled by the Adelaide defence at all. They had a couple of chances to clear it, but they gave Burnside a chance on that back post, and they slipped it in. So game on.
Well, we're seeing a game as Purvis will look out onto this right-hand side. I've got a shirt change. I don't have number 27 on my list, so...
I believe it's Tom Brown, who I think has replaced Rob Kane, number 3, who was actually overseas for a month. So
the first real time, it was the first time that Adelaide hadn't dealt with a circle entry from Burnside, and Burnside managed to get the goal. Brown is really starting to try and impose himself on this midfield now.
Yeah, I think, as I said, Steve Button will review that one. Adelaide, as we watch this entry.
Good 3D skills are fired across, and swing and a miss from Tim Lee.
Yeah, that was a great cross from Jake Stacey. I think Angus Fry again might have been hunting there and got his stick on it, and then Tim Lee wasn't far away. I'm pretty sure that Tim is the highest goal scorer for the...
Another circle entry for Adelaide, and Tim Lee again.
Tim Lee again.
I mean,
yeah.
Law of averages, if he keeps having a go, he'll get one eventually.
Yeah, he's been a really important player for the Peas this year, and has been rewarded for his good work during the Premier League season with selection in the AHL squad. So
8 goals this year, so he is the highest scoring P on display tonight. Inside again with a good cut-out ball, and they can work away into that right-hand side. Just couldn't quite get it under control. Tom Mitten trying his best to bring it under control and just couldn't get there, which allowed Nick Lohmeyer to use the overhead flick and fire it all the way down the line to Jake Stacey.
Yeah, that was an excellent ball by Nick Lohmeyer, known as Reach for obvious reasons.
Another tall, rangy individual, and they seem to find themselves at the back as well. And now Burnside will have a 2-on-1 if he can find him. Might have got him a bit short, but it's there. That could have been very, very close to the second goal for Burnside, but just held him up a little bit with the pass, and Adelaide will get to relieve the pressure with the 16-yard hit.
Yeah, that was excellent tracking back by Tom Brown, who, we believe is coming to the team tonight, and it was just a shade away from a shot on goal, but he managed to just get a stick in there.
Just one more Weetabix at breakfast, and I think we could have been looking at 2-2. Just held a bit short on that pass, and that one will go out for a long corner.
Yeah, I mean, the game, as we talked about, the game started with a flurry of shots, and nothing's really changed throughout the 25 minutes. So from a spectator point of view, it's a great game to watch.
I know that Matt Cleve will be hoping that he'll be disappointed that they gave up the 2 goals early on, but they're starting to grow back into this game now, the Bulldogs.
Yeah, so Steve Button will be disappointed that a number of Adelaide shots over the last 5 minutes have flashed past the near post. So they have had a few more opportunities to put a couple of extra goals on the board. We'd also be looking for number 13, Fraser Bowden, to impact the game a little bit more. He is a quality midfielder.
That's a good touch, and again Burnside have got the numbers, but Lohmeyer will track back and look to cross it in, and again they're there, and again he's got it on goal. That is an excellent stop by Cox, throwing his body at the line. Did very, very well. All sorts of appeals for a short corner. Nothing given by Jennings. I think he played advantage and allowed them to have that shot on goal. That's a good trap, and Adelaide now can break it to 2-on-2. And Jake Stacey will make his way towards the circle. He's got there eventually, and he'll let it go, but Marshall does well and gets the big right hand to it. And Burnside will come out, and it's gone to real end-to-end stuff in the last 30 seconds. And Adelaide will look to launch another attack as Fraser Bowden will make his way forward, and we can have a breath as there will be a free hit.
Well done, Dave. I think you need to take a breath after that. So
as you see Cox's work on the line.
That is a brilliant save by Daniel Cox, and it's not the first time he's done that. He's quite renowned for making spectacular saves on the line, which are often photographed by Adelaide's regular photographer, Bill Purvis.
Burnside looking to clear again, and something that Matt Cleave will be happy with. They've had the opportunities to break, and when they've had them, they've looked dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Burnside have well and truly worked their way back into it, although they have relied on their keeper a little bit to keep them in the contest with some good saves.
That one's still bouncing around, and it's deflected again, and there is a third goal of the night. Adelaide will get another one, I think. Is that Angus Fry again with his second of the night?
It was Angus Fry again. It's what he does best. So he's certainly one of the best goal poachers in the state. Almost a mirror image to his first goal, with the ball being taken just outside the 23, which means he can go straight into the circle. And Angus was there with the clever touch.
He didn't lash at it. He lifted it over Tom Marshall. Again, Adelaide are in, and that's just far too easy for Adelaide, and they'll go one-on-one, and Marshall will give up the short corner.
Yeah, I was looking at Dan Mitchell closely there to see whether he potentially could have raised his hand for a stroke. It looked like a stick check on Jake Stacey as he was about to shoot.
Good to see that again.
Yeah, I think that was Jesse Cooper, perhaps, from the Burnside Hockey Club, who a former under-18 state player.
So this will be short corner number 4 for Adelaide.
Yeah, they had that three-peat, didn't they, at the start of the game?
Certainly did, and then it's gone quiet from them. Again, Hugh Purvis and Fred Gray are there at the trappers. Another double battery, a late shift though, out to this right-hand side with Massey. There's the trap, there's the attempt at goal.
That, again, clever corner there. So you had Jake Stacey taking it off the battery just to change the angle, and Ben Massey getting himself into a really dangerous deflecting position, and he'd probably disappointed he didn't get a better touch on that.
Good overhead, good trap as well.
That's well dealt with by Fred Gray, who is one of the most promising players in the state.
There is some green and gold talk around Fred Gray. As he goes in again and again, Marshall is asked the question, and that one again, where Marshall will make the save. And if Burnside do come away with anything from this, every single Burnside player needs to buy that young man a drink, I think.
And he's going to be called on again because that was a soft foot in the in the circle. But yeah, fantastic keeping again by Marshall. But yeah, getting back to Fred Gray, he at the under-18 nationals this year, he was chosen in the Futures squad, which is an under-18 kind of national squad. So his first national recognition, although he was in a schoolboys tour. I think they went to South Africa potentially last year.
Yeah, he went to South Africa in 2016. He's in the national future squad for 2017. It's his first year in the Premier League, or either first or second. It's not very clear on this whether he played last year or not.
I think he debuted last year, but he's very much come into the
second year. Thank you very much. I think we've got a relative in front of us, and
yeah, he's definitely come into the into prominence this year in terms of a regular Premier League spot. He played bits and pieces last year.
Certainly one of you put a little asterisk down as to one to watch for the future.
Yeah, I think so. He's not going away with the under-21 state team because he went away with the under-18s. He's doing year 12 at Saints, and so we're taking a kind of long-term view with him.
Busy time of year. So which is he at? Which school is he at?
St. Peter's.
St. Peter's.
Yeah, and you've got Angus Fry at PAC, so they have the big battle each year for their what they call their intercols. So that'll be a battle between Gray and Angus Fry.
Again, Burnside try and get their head up, and they're just faced by a wall of white. Our players in that Burnside side who can utilise the overhead, and they've utilised it a couple of times as that one is flicked down the line. But that's a good interception by Rafe Thompson.
Yeah, might have just nicked his foot, but he did well to step up in front.
Just too far ahead of Massey, and it will go out for a 16-yard hit. And we have entered the final 5 minutes. This first half has gone past very, very quickly.
Yeah, and we see down beneath us that Adelaide continue to rotate heavily. Steve Button picks a squad of 15 or 16 each week, and they are probably the club in our Premier League who rotate the heaviest. So you'd think they'd be able to continue this running power throughout the match.
Just couldn't bring that one under control. Richie Hancock, a New South Welshman, out there on the right-hand side, 17 years old. Been at Burnside since he was 9, so holding on to that New South Wales tag.
He's a clever player. Under 18 state player this year in Hobart in April.
Nice turn from Stacey and good first time touch. Just kicked up off the stick. Burnside will be able to rebuild, and there we see the overhead, but again, good control out of the air, that time by James Hazer. Another young man who's playing hockey. It's a young side, this Adelaide P side.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're actually a real blend, because you've got, you know, some real experience in Cox and Lohmeyer, but you've got a lot of young lads as well, so their demographic is good to be pushing for a grand final spot this year.
Now Adelaide will look to break quickly. Just slowed it down, put a stick on the ball and slowed it down. Now they can start to move, and they do have the numbers. They'll go out onto that left-hand side, but they just couldn't bring it under control. Just a little bit too far in front of Sam Hilditch. He's played in 2 grand finals for Adelaide. He's won 1.
Yeah, he's been a good player for Adelaide Hockey Club. That was a ball fed by Fred Gray, and I think Sam probably would have expected to have trapped that.
Very close to turning that over, and they have eventually, out on that left-hand side, and we see Sam Hilditch will look inside. Good tracking back there by Mitten. Again, they've turned it over. McCleve won't be happy with the number of turnovers that they had in that short stint, just outside of their own circle.
Yeah, we saw Jimmy Mitten working back in his defensive circle. We often see him doing his work at the other end.
Bounced around. I think all the Burnside players stopped and waited for a whistle. Could have been dangerous. Again, it's fired into the circle. And Adelaide have shown that when they fire it into the circle, they've got Angus Fry and Jake Stacey around there, and both very good at deflecting that ball towards goal.
Absolutely. Obviously, the 2 goals they scored were balls just outside the circle, so they were able to go direct in.
That one swung at goal, and it will come off up off the stick and go for another short corner. Not entirely sure what else he could have done with it. Poor young man. I think it was another young man we don't have.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the Burnside player was. Again, it was
17.
Again, it was Angus Fry who had the shot, and it was well worked by Adelaide, because balls taken from the long corner attacking 23 line have to be redirected into the circle, which is what they did.
So Sam Hilditch will go and take the injection. He's another interesting fact about him. He's been to the top of Kilimanjaro, which is impressive.
Well, he'd like to go to the top of the Premier League table as well.
He's
so.
very good at climbing things. That being said, as long as you hit top 2, you'll be happy and you get that double chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that one is a good variation, and again, Marshall does well, getting down low to his right-hand side, and he'll turn that one around. Another variation on that short corner. They've had 6 for the night, scored 1.
Yeah, they'd probably want a better percentage than that, but Marshall's been very good in the net.
Again, it's fired in, and Burnside do better with it that time.
Well, anywhere will do there.
Here we are in the last 20 seconds of this one, so we're probably going to be done for the first half. No one's going after it very, very quickly. And we just could see this clock run out, and Adelaide will go into the half-time break, 3-1 up. In fact, they're all off the field before the siren is even gone. So they will be 3-1 up. Stay with you for a little bit, because we just want to talk through some of the stuff that's coming up. Tim, obviously, next week the under-21s will go away to Wollongong. But the awards night is the big one. There will be another Best and Fairest production this year. And I don't know if you remember last year's. It was a heist movie thing.
Yes, I do remember it. Yeah, that was a few of the young lads that I coach were starring in that.
Yeah, and so that will be coming up again this year. July school holiday hockey clinics will be run again between the 18th and 20th of July for the field players and the 21st for the goalkeepers. Early bird closes on the 30th of June. And Term 3 Hockey into Hockey comes up. It's here at the State Hockey Centre, starts on the 17th of August. They run between 4:30 and 5:30, a 7-week programme. Head to www.hookintohockey.com.au. The 2 is the number 2 there, and follow the prompts to book your spot. We will just take a break away as we see the Adelaide boys getting themselves ready for half number 2. We hope that half number 2 will live up to half number 1. Thank you very much for joining us on Facebook, and make sure you like and share this broadcast, brought to you by Hockey SA and powered by Spacequake Sports.
When I was 5 years old, before that my older sister, who's now 17, was playing for school, and then we decided we were going to join the club, and originally she didn't join, and one of our friends through hockey said, well, you may as well put in myself and my other sister at 5 just in under 9s. She said you may as well just get them in, otherwise I'll just be hanging out with you. So I started in under 9s when I was 5, did 2 years of under 9s, 2 years of under 11s, and then this is my 3rd year of under 14s. A hockey hero would have to be Jamie Dwyer, like how much skill he had and like the way he could just pass the ball, and like how hard he'd work on the field. His work rate was so big, and like how much of a sportsman he would be, you know, so respectful on the field. And yeah, so yeah, when I get older I would like to be an athlete like Jamie Dwyer, and how good he was and his sportsmanship and how hard he worked, and I just want to give it my all. I train hard on all my trainings, try my best, I give it my all, and I like to try to be a good sport on the field. My local hockey hero would probably have to be Daniel Cox, because he's so quick and the way he can move the ball from left to right and so fast, and he works really hard and he can drag flick pretty well. It's good that we have like the really good players down here local that are like good role models and heroes for like people my age and stuff, because we really look up to them and strive to be like them, and you know, whatever they do on the field we do, I guess. So what I want to accomplish in the next 5 years would be making under 13s again next year, under 12s this year, and then making under 15s and 16 schoolboys, and then it'd be pretty good to get into under 16 Australian team. That'd be probably my biggest goal for the next 5 years. Well, my coaches have helped a lot. Like I've had Steve Button, which is the current Premier League men's coach for Adelaide. I had him for under 11s, and I've always been around his boys age groups in state teams and club teams, and he's always there to supporting me and giving me feedback, and that's really helped. Well, yeah, it's important for the team to get along really well in our team, because especially now that we're just a really new team in under 14s, if we can get along really well, we'll end up passing and, you know, working as a team really well on the field and off the field. I love hockey because I have so much fun on it, and at the moment, other than school, half my life is hockey, and that's what I love doing. And I know I have to get a career in something else as well, but hockey, I just love my hockey. Whatever I do, if it's hockey, I'm enjoying myself.
And welcome back to the State Hockey Centre at Jeps Cross as we get ready for the second half. Adelaide leading this one, 3-1 at the moment, and good half of hockey, Tim. And do you see Burnside getting back into this one?
They'd have to change some things up, I think, to get back into it. I think they relied on their keeper Marshall to probably keep them in the game. I mean, Damon Lang in the Adelaide net has made a few saves, but Adelaide, I think we've worked out, have had 6 PCs, a number of field shots, and yeah, I think Cleve would be talking to his players about just controlling the tempo a bit more. There's been a lot of turnovers, and Adelaide have looked really dangerous when they have won the ball in the midfield and got forward quickly.
They've shown that when they break, they can break well, but it's not been consistent enough, and they probably had too many turnovers just outside their own circle for Burnside's liking. But Adelaide's showing their class and showing why they're second in the league at the moment.
I think so, and I mean, I think we have to give credit to Adelaide as well for, I guess, forcing a lot of those turnovers with the pressure on the ball when Burnside have it in their back quarter, and also their setup behind the ball. So they're well structured, and as we said, they've looked really dangerous going forward and have had a number of goal scoring opportunities.
And we're seeing what we normally see as well. We see the dominant side, their goalkeeper, even though he hasn't had much to do, he's had to stay concentrated and he's made some good saves. And the other thing is that we've seen the Burnside keeper work really, really hard. Thomas had to work incredibly hard in his goal, and unfortunately for him, they are finding themselves with a 2-goal deficit as they are behind 3-1. But there is 35 minutes of hockey left, and we'll see whether Matt Cleave could have worked some half-time magic.
Yeah, I mean, the action has been fast and furious, and so sometimes the half-time break can change momentum in a game. And obviously gives the coaches a chance to talk about tactical shifts and what have you. But I think Adelaide would be looking to reinforce the same messages and keep the same sort of tempo. Burnside would be looking to potentially slow it down, get a bit better structure behind the ball, and then look to hit Adelaide on the break as they've done a few times.
We are live and interactive. We would love it if you would press that share button and make sure everybody in your friends list can see what's going on tonight. And the other thing is as well is make sure you press that like button or the love button. And you're not limited to one of them. You can fill our screen with thumbs or hearts. If you see something you like, then you're more than welcome to fill our screen. We love seeing them go across our screen. As we are underway in this second half, Burnside will attack the right of your screen and Adelaide will attack the left. And in that first half, you talk about performances. Dan Cox has kept them in it. It would have been 2-2, but he's thrown himself at the ball, and they now go in with that 2-goal lead. Hugh Purvis has started to come into the game, and he took control of that midfield.
Yeah, I mean, hockey's one of those games that, as we watch this entry,
he's just fired across, and that's a fantastic finish. And there's the first goal of the second half, almost just under a minute in, just over a minute in.
Yeah, really well constructed goal. Excellent work. Fraser Bowden slipping it to Jake Stacey along the baseline, and a fantastic striker goal from Tim Lee, who timed his run, got in front and cushioned it into the bottom corner. So just the start that Adelaide want, and obviously conversely Burnside didn't want.
They certainly didn't want that. And Tim Lee, as we said, I mean, his percentage of shots on goal to goals hasn't been great tonight, but you keep getting up there and keep putting yourself in those positions, keep having the attempts. One's going to come for you eventually, and he's got his goal. That'll take him to 9 for the year.
Yeah, and you could see that he really enjoyed it. Strikers love putting the ball in the net.
So that one is fired towards the top of the circle. It's going to find its way all the way across. Nothing for Marshall to do there.
Well, another really good opportunity for Adelaide. In fact, I think there was a mishandle by Adelaide at the top of the circle, which probably would have gone to an open player if he had have left it. But Angus Fry doing what he does, getting on the loose ball, but ballooning his shot over the net in that case.
Well, Fry is on a hat-trick for tonight.
It's really good news for the SA boys that Angus is in goal-scoring form, because he'll look to take that away with him to Wollongong. Huey Purvis is coaching that team, so he's his teammate tonight, and he'll be his coach next week.
So Adelaide will build from the back there now, have that 3-goal cushion, and that one will find its way through to Humphreys, and Humphreys again will fire it in, and Burnside just going to sleep a little bit and letting Mr. Fry find his way around the back and unmarked.
Yeah, I mean, Burnside's marking in deep defence. They would be reviewing that, I think, at the end of tonight, and it has been a bit loose and has allowed Adelaide a little bit too much room in their attacking circle. So they certainly look like they've got a hunger for it, the Peas. I don't think they're going to sit on this lead.
Cox will self-play, and then he's going to just go back to the middle. And they'll build from there, see where they go out to that right-hand side, as we normally do. You see them go around that back 3, just to try and get that extra space. Good ball through and excellent control from Jake Stacey. All got a bit messy there, but umpires are happy with it.
Yeah, a few turnovers in the middle there. And again, Sam Davies just mishandling that at the back, so it's an Adelaide long corner. They've been dangerous with these balls tonight.
And Adelaide have looked really good with these balls into the circle, and Burnside are just looking a little bit panicky at times. They'll have another free hit just outside the circle.
Yeah, you can see that's a genuine set play. They're just looking for a player to post back towards him and then redirect it into the circle.
Again, another circle entry, and that one's dragged back, and nobody there at the back post this time, so Burnside will be able to get rid of it. Probably wanted a little bit more time than he had, and Humphreys will send it all the way back in, you would think, but he just turns and he'll go all the way back to Cox, and they'll look to rebuild, and they can pump the brakes a little bit now as they have that 3-goal lead. to lead this one 4-1.
Yeah, James Humphreys there on the ball. He plays with a little bit of extra time. He never looks hurried. I think I think every now and then he puts a few heart palpitations into his coaches, the calmness that he's got on the ball. But he's a very calm and skillful player.
Does very, very well in very limited space then, but get the free hit out of it.
You can see Adelaide's pressure there. Rafe Thompson received in the middle and 3 players converged and forced the turnover.
Self-play from Purvis, and again they will go all the way back. So they have James Hazer, a 16-year-old, is working back at that sweeper position, and it's not normal that you see the youngsters back there, but obviously they've decided he can deal with that responsibility. Another circle entry, and that one is dealt with by Burnside. Cox with the good 3D skills to bring it down. He again will look out onto that right-hand side and almost got the ball back.
Coxie trying a little behind the back trick, which didn't quite come off. Yeah, Burnside just giving the ball back to Adelaide with some unforced errors at the moment. So you'd expect Adelaide have built a bit of a wall and are keeping it in their front half at the moment.
Purvis will look to the top of the circle and no one will get that, but it almost comes all the way across to Lomire, and it does, and he'll get on the back stick and just look to chip it towards goal.
Yeah, he threw his head back there, Nick Lomire. He wouldn't find himself in those scoring situations all that often, and he's still got a wry smile on his face thinking that was a missed opportunity. It
was a centre-back's finish. Again, Adelaide look to the top of the circle, and again they turn it over at the top of the circle, and it's still bouncing around there. It will finally, well, it looked like it was going to go out, but Burnside have taken control of it. Rafe Thompson also almost like a matador there, just willing them towards him, and no one ever came.
Yeah, you'd like to see James Keeves at the back just trying to get the ball on his stick. He's got one of the best outletting games in the state, so but unfortunately he's done more defending than outletting tonight.
Purvis right at the tee will self-play and then come back out. They look for that 1-2 between Purvis and Matty, but they weren't on the same page.
Yeah, Ben Massey has had a good season with Adelaide, played under 21 state hockey with SA last year and is in the AHL squad this year. So the AHL team will start their preparation, I think, on July. Well, they may be running a beep test next week, which the players won't enjoy. But
certainly won't.
I think their prep starts on July the 17th. Probably both teams, the Suns and the Hotshots.
It seems like the cameras are a little bit of a good luck charm for the Hotshots. So we'll see whether we can jag a free trip over to Perth with them.
Well, that would be nice. Yeah, you've got Melody Cooper and Mark Victory leading up their coaching staff again. So, yeah, they probably had a little bit of a disappointing finish last year, and I know they're pretty determined to build on that.
Obviously, 3 months is a long time, so a lot of it will depend on fitness and availability. Obviously, these players have to work for a living as well.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
A week away in Perth isn't cheap.
No, it's not cheap, and it's probably 10 days all up. Plus, you know, it's 10 weeks of 3 times a week plus their club hockey commitments. So, yeah, I mean, they do have to be very dedicated to play for their state. But you know, a lot of them obviously enjoy that opportunity to play against the best in Australia.
It's better from Burnside managing to cut that out, but they have turned it over. But they will get the free hit.
Yeah, I'm not sure who number 17 is.
We don't have anything for the number 17, but he's starting to do a little bit better back there. Good pressure from Massey, and it causes the loose pass, and Cox again will intercept. We'll see him start to roam forward a little bit. Tom Brown will go into that sweeper position now.
Which is that, as you kind of alluded to before, that kind of total hockey type routine where they can just fill in each other's positions, and again, really good involvement from Fred Gray there in the middle.
Massey will just fire that in there, and I tell you what, Sam Hilditch wasn't too far away from getting enough stick on that to cause problems for Tom Marshall.
No, he just needed to redirect that, but he was in a dangerous position and really well found by Ben Massey. Probably a little bit too much room again by the Burnside defence.
Probably one too many Weetabix for Ben Massey this morning, a little bit strong, and Hilditch just couldn't quite get it under control, but Brown again, and he'll take on Fred Gray.
That's a good battle. That's a good, I'll watch that one with interest.
Massey did not get the benefit, and he'll turn to his state teammate who he played with on Wednesday night and ask the question. And as per usual, Dan Mitchell has a huge smile on his face anytime he's involved with hockey. See those pearly whites of his? Just a little bit too far in front.
Yeah, he enjoys all facets of his hockey. I think he's enjoying it a bit more now. I think he relied on Uber a little bit this week with some car issues, but he's up and running again. So
again, they'll go all the way to the back, and they'll look out to that right-hand side to Lomai, but Burnside have got that one covered off. Cox is there or thereabouts. Very strong presence at the back, Mr. Cox.
Yeah, so
football-style tackles on Wednesday night.
Yes, he can. See Burnside are just allowing them to have the ball at the back and then looking to intercept like
that's
that.
Probably better from Burnside, and now Brown can carry forward and he'll get his head up, look to pick a pass, and we see Mr. Brown just stand in the way. There may have been some suggestion that there could have been a penalty corner, but Mr. Mitchell just happy with the free hit. Now come all the way back out into outside the 25, and then they'll look to this right-hand side and look for that circle entry, and it's managed to get there, and it's bounced around.
Yeah.
One for the cameras there from Damon Leng, I think. He's always going wide, but he wanted to make sure we saw it as we see the replay of that one.
Yeah, it was interesting. I'm not even sure if it was a Burnside stick on it. It looked like it may have been, although it was given as a long corner in the end, but maybe Damon Leng might have just touched it when he probably didn't need to. But it was a good press by Burnside before, and it forced the turnover.
Well, the cameras are here, so you may as well make it look good.
That's right.
One for your highlight reel, Damon. Good carry by Jesse Cooper, and he'll manage to fire it across, and just a little bit too far in front, and Mr. Michael Bowditch.
Yeah, that the coach would be ideally wanting someone to be there on that back post, but it's probably the first bit of sustained pressure that Burnside have had for probably all match. So we've had some repeat entries, so it'd be good to see if they can actually make something of it by winning a corner or getting a shot away. Another long.
So they are starting to build a little bit of pressure. Well, 23 minutes to go in this one. Nice slide through, but unfortunately it's cut out by Adelaide, and Adelaide will look to break, and they'll come down onto this left-hand side with Humphreys. He'll manage to flick it into Massey, and Massey will fire it across to the top of the circle. And that is an excellent stop by Jesse Cooper, who was up there and trying to get the circle entry, and then manages to get a stick in at the right time. But again, it's still at the top of the circle. They're playing advantage, and that one will be fired in by Adelaide, and they will make their mark, and they will go 5 goals to 1 up.
Well, again, frantic action. You had a brilliantly executed move by Adelaide initially, and then Jesse Cooper managed to get his stick on it, but then a loose turnover by Burnside at the top, and that's all Jake Stacey needed. He's very strong on his tomahawk, and he was able to hit one low past Marshall's right foot.
So that was Stacey with a goal? I thought it was Humphreys, the 77. But
I believe it was Stacey.
Okay, well, that's 2 players who are on a hat-trick now. That's James Stacey and Angus Fry.
Yep, so they'll be both looking to beat each other to the hat-trick.
Tim Lee won't be happy because they'll be catching him up as well, so he'll have to work a little bit harder.
Yeah, this is really good news for Adelaide Hockey Club, seeing Jake Stacey in the form that he's in tonight. As I said, he's had a couple of years out of the game, was one of the best young players in the state, and he's struggled to get consecutive games under his belt with a few injury issues, but he's certainly working himself into form, and he'll be a dangerous player come finals time.
Thrown down the line, and Sam Hilditch might have shown that it was going down that channel and then decided against it, but the ball went there anyway. 20 minutes to go for Burnside, and find themselves on the wrong end of a high score. Adelaide will want to put their foot on the throat a little bit. They saw what Seacliff did last Friday night.
Yeah, I think Seacliff scored 2 or 3 goals in the last 3 minutes. They were hungry to finish off that game against Adelaide Uni. I think they scored their 10th goal with Lockie Buzzico knocking it in with about a second to go. So
right on the siren it was, and obviously points difference at the end of the year is always going to be something that will factor in. Marshall does well again and clears.
That was excellent 3D skill from Huey Purvis, one of his tricks that he likes to use.
Brown looking to take on Cox, and Cox wins that little battle, but Burnside will have the ability to come away, and terrier-like in that midfield. Angus Fry was not going to let it go, but he's given away the free hit eventually.
Yeah, he almost won the ball there, and it would have been a dangerous spot to win it. But yeah, as you can see, Adelaide look hungry, and with 20 minutes to go, you wouldn't be surprised if there's more goals in this game.
Cox with a nice little reverse pass. He's putting on a show for us tonight. He'll find Fry. Turns in his face by 3 Burnside players. And he'll go and get it back. And he'll come back again to Hugh Purvis, and Purvis will get his head up. Look to slide it again to the top to the square, and Brown was there, Tom Brown was there, and just couldn't get it under control.
Steve Button would be, I think, really happy with the style of hockey that Adelaide are playing. You saw there the connectedness between the players, with Angus dishing it off to Jake and getting it back, and then back to Hugh Purvis and out the other side. So they're playing a really good team game of hockey.
It was a good touch, and Cox said that he didn't get a touch on it, but Mr. Mitchell disagrees, and Burnside will have the ball down in that right-hand corner. Sam Davis will look to restart them.
I think that's
a long corner.
It must have come off an Adelaide stick. It's a difficult place to construct an attack from there. If your defence is well set up, then it is difficult to get a circle entry. But they've got a long corner in a dangerous spot now, so they'll probably be looking to potentially redirect or take it out and around.
Baylor's trying to go all the way back. Wonderful challenge from Jake Stacey, and now they can break, and Jake Stacey has managed to be in front, and he has a support runner in Timmy Lee, who's coming up, firing up on that left-hand side. Burnside did very, very well, and unfortunately have given away the free hit. Adelaide can restart, and they'll get another circle entry and get to that byline. Still bouncing around in there. Good defense, though. Michael Brown. Again, it's fired in, and it nearly comes away all the way across. Marshall does enough. Adelaide are going to keep going and won't allow that to come out too far. Fraser Bowden will fire into that left-hand side, and Hazer again will find the top of the circle. Just turned in, but...
Yeah, it's probably a good decision, I think. The ball probably fell too far off Dawson's stick there. So, but what you're seeing here at the moment is basically sustained attacking pressure from Adelaide. And I know that the Kookaburras, back when they were coached by the great Rick Charlesworth, that was one of his many acronyms that he used, which was SAP. So they just wanted to keep attacking pressure on opposition teams at all times, and that is pretty well what Adelaide's doing right now.
Sean Dawson will look to go out the outside, and he beats one. Looking to beat the other one, he's had to come back.
He loves the ball on his stick. Sean Dawson, he's one of the best ball carriers in this Adelaide team.
So come up to 10 minutes to go, and sorry, no, is that 10 minutes? No, 16 minutes to go. They need some bulbs changing in the scoreboard at the stadium. Oh, that's going to break, and I think Antoniadis is going to get there first, but Cox will just change gear and manage to get there first. Thought he'd sold himself a little bit short. Antoniadis did very, very hard work to get out there, but again, Adelaide can break, and they'll find Massey, carries the ball into the middle of the field, get his head up again and beat Brown, and then look for that circle entry. It's deflected, and there is another goal, and that is Jake Stacey, and that is his hat-trick for the night. So that is Adelaide 6, Burnside 1.
A fantastic goal there. I mean, it probably all started there from Daniel Cox at the back, winning a foot race, which Coxie had loved that, and then a brilliant piece of skill by Angus on the far side, got it into the middle, and then the finish by Jake Stacey was sublime into the top corner.
So that is his hat-trick. He wins the race, the 3 goals. Angus Fry will be disappointed that he's blown a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, I think Angus will be happy that he had a hand in the goal. So it's a team game, team goals.
And again, Adelaide will look, and Massey has made himself available again on this left-hand side. Again, they just fire it in, and again the miscontrol, and it's fired in a goal. And that is another goal, and that one will be Fraser Bowden, who gets his first goal of the night, and he'll push it out to 7-1.
Yeah, so it's potentially one of the first mistakes that Marshall's made in the net. Again, Fraser Bowden had a hand in the build-up and then ghosted forward and got hold of the ball and a tomahawk straight through the keeper. So, yeah, it's getting a bit ugly for Burnside right now, and Adelaide don't look like they're ready to stop any time soon.
Well, Adelaide will have seen what Seacliff did last week, and they'll want to at least show the people who are watching at home that they are equal to, if not better than Seacliff. Yeah,
I mean, Seacliff won the battle up at their home pitch a month or two ago against the 2 teams, and I'm sure they'll look to change that the next time they play the Peas against Seacliff. But here we are. I think that's the 7th corner for Adelaide, potentially the first one of the second half. I think Daniel Cox would be pretty keen to get on the board here.
Yeah, he'll be feeling left out a little bit, especially in a high-scoring game. I'm just trying to look back through the results. They lost 4-0 to Seacliff in round 12. It's the only time they've played them this year.
Yeah, that game opened up. It was 0-0 at half-time, and I think Seacliff scored 3 in about a 10-minute period. So I'm sure Mark Deloro is he's either out here or sitting at home watching and taking notes.
Sure he will be, and it'd be great to see those two. We didn't see them during the Friday night, so it'd be great to see those two play off against each other in the final series. Singh comes to the direction it is, in Cox's direction, and he will flick, and he'll just lift it over the bar, but he certainly wanted to get his name on the score sheet.
He did.
Have his name in lights.
That one, he won't be happy with that one. That one sort of ballooned a bit and up and over. He is one of the best drag flickers in the state. He's also the drag flicking coach for the Sassy program. So he comes out here on a Monday night and works with the young lads. And we've got some good young drag flickers in this state that Coxie's doing a good job with.
One of the good things, and we saw it last Friday as well, is that this team that's on the back end of a big score line, they're still playing. They're not parking the bus and trying to limit the damage. They're going to keep playing, keep trying to go through their processes. Yeah. Lohmeyer will look out to that right-hand side to Cox, and the aging legs of Cox gave up on that one. 32-year-old from Snowtown. Won't make any jokes about where he's from.
Who's that? Nick Lohmeyer?
Dan Cox is from Snowtown.
Oh, is he really? I think that's New South Wales. But yeah, he's obviously a stalwart at the Cox. Is he the current best and fairest winner, or was that 2 years ago?
Best and fairest in 2016.
Yeah, there you go. I'm sure he's getting a few votes this year as well, although I reckon there'd be a few mates in his Adelaide team that'll be sharing a few votes around.
Yeah, certainly the likes of Hugh Purvis will take some votes off him, and the way that Jake Stacey's played tonight.
Yep.
You would suggest that he'd lose some votes there?
Yeah, I think Fraser Bowden, probably Timmy Lee with a few of his goals catching the eye, and even James Humphrey might be sneaking a couple with his form. So, but we'll all be revealed on Best and Fairest night in September.
Adelaide will very calmly get rid of it from their circle, and again they will look to go, and they just look for a clever little drop off and left it all too short, and then they'll turn it over in a high stage, and that's something that Steve Button won't be happy with. Yes, you're 7 goals to 1 up, but let's not start being too clever. So that one is fired across and deflected towards his own goal by Lohmeyer, but Mr. Lang did enough.
Yeah, he dealt with it well. I mean, it was hit outside the circle, so it wouldn't have been a goal, but
Lohmeyer got a deflection on it just outside, so deflected it towards his own goal.
Yeah, but unless it was touched by a Burnside player in the circle first, then it still would have been a long corner.
Oh,
So
there we go. Learn something new every day. Cox will be almost in front of his goalkeeper, but that will come out. A lovely little touch, but Cox wasn't on the same. Cox wasn't on the same page as him.
yeah, I think you mentioned before that there's been a few cute touches by the Adelaide players. I think Steve Button, the coach, will be looking for them to not overplay the ball and keep it simple, keep doing what they're doing. I mean, they've looked really good when they've just used a simple ball. They've stretched the field. They've got it to the open side, and he'd be looking for much the same in the last 10 minutes.
It's good hockey, but they need to complete that. If you're going to do it, it needs to work. I'm sure that Steve Button wouldn't be overly happy if they start doing cute flicks and turn it over and then concede.
Yeah, and Burnside are actually having a bit of success at the moment with their press. They've fallen away, and Adelaide are trying to force the ball through them a bit.
Wonderful challenge, though, from Fred Gray, and they will launch another attack, and he'll just turn him inside out and make his way into the circle, make his way into the middle, and there is another goal for Adelaide. And I think the scorer of that one might be...
That was Jake Stacey again.
Jake Stacey again, so he's gone up to 4 goals for tonight.
I mean, you could put it down to Fred Gray, who a brilliant steal, elimination, and then a perfect feed, and Jake just needed to pop it in from close range. Nothing that Marshall could do in the net there, but you saw the class of Gray and the finishing power of Jake Stacey with 4 goals. He's certainly found his goal-scoring touch.
And just in time, you would think, as they start towards we reach the pointy end of the season. I'm not sure what he was on before tonight, but he'll probably get his way up into those top 10 goal scorers.
Yeah, I think, I mean, he's an excellent goal scorer, and I think we've all been waiting for this game from Jake, where he puts it all together. And as I said, I'm sure other coaches would be sitting back going, yeah, we can see that Jake Stacey's finding his path to goal now.
When you've got the goal scorers and you've got the goal scoring danger like Angus Fry and Tim Lee and obviously Jake Stacey coming into form as well, it's only good things for Adelaide Hockey Club as we reach the well, it's not the pinnacle of the season really, is it? We've still got another couple of months to go, but it's the end of our Friday night season.
It is, and I think they play one round next week, and then all teams have got a week off on July the 15th, that weekend, the weekend that the 21s get back. So I'm sure coaches will be looking to freshen their teams up that weekend, and then it'll be very much a surge into finals. I think there might be one midweek game in there on a Wednesday night, so you've got potentially 3 games in a week there when you play on either weekend. So it'll be very much all systems go from that point in terms of preparation for finals.
So we now are inside the final 5 minutes, and Burnside will keep going. They will get the free hit, and off they go. Rafe Thompson will fire it across. Cleared by Adelaide. Massey will get his stick on it. Beats 3 and eliminates them, and off they go, and Fry will fire it down into that bottom corner. Again, the Adelaide players stream into that circle, and Massey again couldn't get it under control, and he's more angry at himself than I think anybody else would be.
I mean, you can see it's a genuine tactic from Adelaide, the way in which they're stretching the field. It's happened a lot where they've won the ball in the midfield and then found the striker in the pockets, which they did there with Angus Fry finding Sam Hilditch. So, yeah, with, what have we got, 7.5 minutes to go, and Adelaide will be sniffing a couple more if they can.
And we talk about it now, and they are in the circle again. Again, just look to try and reverse it back in, but they will get another short corner, their 8th of the night, and Cox can wander up and see whether he can get his stick on it, but I think he's on the interchange bench at the moment, so he will miss out on that opportunity. He'll be champing at the bit to come back on.
He won't be happy about that, but you might find Sean Dawson having a flick, or Adelaide could try a variation at this point of the night. So, but I'm fairly sure that I think maybe all the goals have been, or maybe I think maybe one goal came from a penalty corner rebound.
Just the one, I think it was.
But yeah, been a lot of field goals this evening.
But again, they go with a double battery. Jake Stacey is there. He's looking for his 5th goal of the night. Gone to somebody else, and there is a drag flick, and that's a wonderful turnaround.
I think that might have been
Richie
Hancock,
Hancock.
On the post, so he dealt with that beautifully. It looked like almost a cricket shot down to fine leg.
Be a long corner. Fred Gray will go back to Lohmeyer, and Lohmeyer will get his head up and probably look for a circle entry. He just didn't get enough on it, and Burnside can come away.
No, he just mishandled that one a little bit.
Tried to turn that one inside, and again Adelaide have turned it over, and again they get the chance to break at speed, but George Redmond does well and gets back and cleans it up. Again Adelaide will turn over in a very dangerous area. Humphreys did very, very well on the ground.
Well.
That's a good little battle between Gray and Cooper. Cooper wins out that one, and then just a little mazy turn.
He's a good player for Burnside, Jesse Cooper.
Some groans there.
I
They
think
were
that,
after a robust challenge, but Dan Mitchell just gives the signal for a 16-yard hit.
yeah, I think that was Dan Cox, the seasoned statesman, just asserting his authority over young Richie Hancock.
Just letting him know who's there. Richie Hancock, 17 years old, from Leeton in New South Wales, another year 12, so
Yeah, he'd be busy.
he'll be studying hard. And I think that's something that the coaches have to think about as well, as you've got these kids who are in year 12, and as you reach the point at the end of the season, they're going to disappear somewhat because they've got their futures to think about.
Yeah, I mean, coaches, certainly have to understand the importance of balance and the importance of year 12 and the kids getting their ATAR scores to get them into university. So particularly when a lot of these players are also training in 21s environments and AHL environments. So yeah, the coaches wouldn't expect them to be at all trainings at certain times of the year.
Stacey working hard again, and a good challenge, and he will turn them around and he'll send them off on another break. Massey is on inside if he can find him. He does find him, and Massey's at the top of the square. Massey shoots a goal and Massey scores. That is Adelaide 9, Burnside 1.
Well, it's been a common theme, particularly in this second half, the way the goals have been scored. It was Jake Stacey who won the ball around the half line, fed the ball, I think, into Sam Hilditch, and again, unselfish. I mean, Adelaide have had extra players on, and Sam Hilditch could have taken the shot from the angle, but he slipped it across, and Ben Massey had all the time to find his target low into the bottom corner.
So less than 5 minutes to go. They need another goal to equal what Seacliff did last week, but they will obviously have the solo goal from Burnside. Will make all of the difference to Seacliff. But again, Cox, that's a lovely tackle and an incredible turn just in front of us. And again, they look to launch, and they're not giving up. They're not putting the cue in the rack, as it were.
No, I think Coxie realised that he was right in front of the camera there and tried his famous swivel.
It was very impressive. It's like he glued the ball to the end of his stick. That one is fired across. There was a lovely moment actually just before when we talked about Cox versus Hancock. As the ball went down the other end, they shared a little cuddle.
Oh, did they?
And Mr. Cox just patted Hancock on the head.
Oh, that's good to see. So Adelaide with 3 to go, when a team is already scored 9 goals and you've got 2 or 3 minutes, there's no doubt that they've got the 10th goal in their minds. So they won't be putting the cue in the rack, that's for sure.
So Humphreys carrying it. He said there's no advantage and blew the whistle a couple of times. And Mr. Mitchell finally gets his way, which he usually does. They'll fire out to this left-hand side to James Hazer. And they will look for Massey with a lovely little reverse ball in, but Burnside did enough. I do like it when those sticks get caught up. It's almost romantic, isn't it?
Wow. That's
like
probably,
Lady and the Tramp.
That's one word for it.
Massey does well again and just left it behind somewhat. It's excellent stick work from Jesse Cooper, and he'll be able to find Mitten. Mitten broke Daniel Cox's ankles then.
Fraser Bowden, one of the fastest players in the comp.
He runs with pace. He will go down into that right-hand corner, and Adelaide will get the free hit again, and off they go, and Cox is hanging around. That's a wonderful tackle from Mitten.
Yeah, he had put his body on the line there if Fraser had have swung, so Fraser was certainly lining up for a Tommer.
And they're not giving up at the moment. Brown will come back out to this left-hand side, and Humphreys will get his head up and probably look for a circle entry, which he does, and Massey is there, and he's trying to get it onto that tomahawk, but he goes to the baseline, fires it back towards the penalty spot. Burnside will get the free hit and will be able to come away.
Yeah, Keevesy just looking for
rest, I think.
Looking for rest. So 1 minute to go, and you dare say Adelaide will look for one final attempted goal.
Try and match what Seacliff did last week. They will have got to see that Seacliff performance last week, and they will look to take as much from that as they possibly can. And the other thing is, as well as you said, Mark DeLauro will probably be watching tonight.
I'm sure he would be. There's a good break.
Again, we'll look to that right-hand side, and they'll fire it across, and we'll go away. But having watched this hockey, and we're probably done for this one, I don't think we'll get too much more. But as we watch the end of this one, there's probably not much there for Mark DeLauro to get his teeth into from a mistake point of view. Adelaide have looked really good through this entire game.
Yes, they have. It's been it's gone straight in. It's been a complete performance by Adelaide. You can see they're still hunting the ball down with 14 seconds to go, and you'd imagine this ball will be sent long, quickly, just for one last attempt.
We are into the last 10 seconds. I don't very much it's going to get there, but he does fire it forward. And that one will do us, and we can stick a fork in this one as Adelaide win this one 9-1. Burnside on the back end of an absolute spanking from the Adelaide Hockey Club. Hugh Purvis having words with Dan Mitchell. Two very good friends. They've been in the States set up with each other for a long time. So as the men's Friday Night Live season comes to an end, we see a very impressive display from the Adelaide Peas. Probably will cement themselves into that top 2 position and will get that double chance final, and Burnside will just have to lift their game to try and knock on the door of that 4.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a blow to Burnside, not only in terms of trying to catch the teams above them, but also on the way in which the game played out. So they'll need to regroup. There is still enough time in the season to potentially make up ground, but it's going to be tough for them after tonight.
And thank you very much for joining us. We will be back with you for the women's game, which will be coming up next. Thank you very much for joining us on this broadcast, brought to you by Hockey SA and powered by Spacequake Sports.